My Hero Academia Season 5 Episode 5 is out, and with this new episode, we get right into the second matchup of the fated clash of Class 1A versus Class 1B. It's Team Momo Yaoyorozu versus Team Itsuka Kendo. Two best girls are going head to head. This episode, like its predecessor, covers 2 chapters from the My Hero manga, following the events of chapter 198 and 199. And so, without further ado, let's jump right into My Hero Academia Season 5 Episode 5, titled Operation New Improv Moves. And as usual, don't forget to Detroit smash that like button and slide into that subscribe button's DMs to hit that notification bell. This episode opens up with the victorious Team Froppy reflecting on their mistakes in their battle against Team Vine. Aizawa asks his students what they learned from the conflict and what they would have done differently. Kirishima needs to focus on setting up a head-on fight, so he doesn't just get yeeted away. Koda needs to learn how to command his bugs more effectively and utilize them to take advantage of his opponent's weaknesses rather than focusing on a head-on attack. Kaminari is absolutely flawless, and boy does he know it. Just kidding. Aizawa informs Kaminari that he needs to take the fight more seriously and he needs to work on using his full power straight out the gate. The adorable Froppy needs to focus on covering her team's mistakes in the heat of the moment rather than overthinking her own mistakes. And Shinzo just needs more experience. As he admits, in the heat of battle, he was only able to use 1/10 of the abilities he had already learned. Now, something I want to point out about why I like this moment is the fact that Team Froppy won. Yet, instead of the joyous over-the-top excitement we used to see, they are all angry and frustrated at their own abilities. With the exception of Kaminari, of course. It shows that these aren't the same naive little kids who first entered UA. They are people who have experienced real life and death situations, who understand that those mistakes in the real world would have cost them their lives. While I do miss the fun, youthful, enthusiastic side of the students, it's great to see that they are actually growing, learning, and changing in a realistic way. They still have their goofy personalities, but they understand the seriousness of their work, and it's nice to see this growth. But anyway, from this it cuts over to Team Vine, where they get told, you should have just worked together. And that's a fair point. I mean, if they had worked together, they easily could have won this bout. It wasn't until they separated that things started to go south. And in seeing the lack of coordination and pre-planning from both Team Vine and Team Froppy, the remaining teams from both classes begin to work on their team strategies. Ida talks to his team saying he has something to tell them about his reciprocal burst. Mina Ashido proposes to her team that they do a move called Instant Kill Floating Ball, which I am all here for, and Team Bakugo deals with, well, Bakugo. In seeing this prime youthfulness fill the air, the questionable teacher Midnight begins to feel things. How is she a teacher again? As this is going on, the teachers discuss Shinzo's progress, and All Might brings up the point that it's good to see he is frustrated at his mistakes. And they all agree that since this is essentially a test to see whether he is capable of joining the hero course or not, we should see him firing on all cylinders in his next matchup. Exciting. After enough time passes, Vlad King calls out announcing that the next match in the exercise is about to begin. Team Kendo versus Team Momo. While walking to their starting positions, the two teams have a quick pre-fight chat, where Kendo tells Momo that ever since their shared internship, people often put them in the same box, viewing them as equals. So, in this matchup, Kendo declares that she is going to prove once and for all that she is not Momo's equal, but that she is her superior. Unfazed by these fighting words, Momo happily accepts Kendo's competition, and so begins the beautiful rivalry between Momo Yaoyorozu and Itsuka Kendo. Coming off this conversation, we get another great talk between Fumikage Tokyami and Shihai Kuroiru of Class 1B, who, in admiration and respect for the other's love for all things that are dark and the abyss, declare their rivalry. And Shihai leaves Tokoyami with the parting words, "You and I share a destiny." God, are we in a stellated Rombikosi dodecahedron? Because the edginess in this room is insane right now. After this brief conversation, the second fight of the exercise finally begins. Team Momo gets Tokoyami to use Dark Shadow to charge ahead and scout out for the enemy team, while Team Kendo's plan consists of them using the wait-and-see approach. approach. After Dark Shadow locates and confronts Team Kendo, it begins to return back to Tokoyami. However, upon returning to its master, Tokoyami notices that something is off, and Dark Shadow begins to attack Tokoyami and the rest of Team Momo in broad daylight. Invisigirl Toru Hagakure, actually proving herself useful, uses her Light Refraction ultimate move on Dark Shadow to incapacitate the beast, and it's here where it's revealed that Dark Shadow was being controlled by none other than Tokoyami's fated rival, Shihai Kuroiro. It's revealed that Shihai's quirk Black allows him to melt into and move darkness and dark objects. After being ejected from Dark Shadow, Team Momo begins to hunt down Shihai, who ends up coming face to face with Tokoyami. The two edgelords have an edgelord off, and Tokoyami, accepting the challenge from his destined rival from his sibling class, announces that he is going to use his new super move he learned from Hawks called Dark Fallen Angel. In just hearing the pure edginess that is this super move, Shihai gets shivers as he repeats the name aloud, which Tokoyami responds to by announcing his move again. Yes, they said the move's name 3 times in a row. That's how edgelord this move is. The story then cuts to a flashback of Tokoyami's time interning with the number 3 hero at the time, Hawks. As it turns out, Hawks primarily only offered to take Tokoyami under his wing, pun intended, to get first-hand information on the League of Villains attack on the USJ. Bear in mind, the first internship took place right after the sports festival, so Class 1A were all still young chicklings with little to no experience. The other reason Hawks took in Tokoyami was because he too is part bird. Yes, that's actually part of the reason why. You know what they say, birds of a feather flock together. So while Tokoyami was interning for the number 3 hero, soon to be number 2, he got no real valuable experience, as when they went out on patrols, Hawks would just swoop in, defeat the villain, and swoop out before anyone else could arrive, leaving Tokoyami and his sidekicks to just take care of the rest. Furious at being looked down on by Hawks, Tokoyami trained Dark Shadow up with the intention of one day returning to Hawks' agency and proving that he is more than just another lackey. And eventually, the opportunity to return occurred with the Hero Work Program, as Hawks accepted Tokoyami back into his agency, hoping to get more information on the League from Tokoyami's additional encounters with them. However, this time when they were on patrol and Hawks would zoom away to stop a villain, Tokoyami would actually keep up good pace on the now number 2 hero, thanks to his training and work with Dark Shadow. Seeing this growth in Tokoyami, Hawks decides to take his fellow bird-brained companion on a midnight flight, where he informs our beloved edgelord that yes, the main reason he took Tokoyami on board was to get info on the League, but the real reason why he chose Tokoyami over everyone else in his class was because he saw wasted potential. And Hawks tells Tokoyami that it's great to focus on fixing his weaknesses, but he shouldn't forget to fine-tune his strengths. And as the two fly atop a skyscraper, Hawks inspires Tokoyami by saying, "The ones who can fly should fly. Never be confined to the ground." We then cut back to the present, where Tokoyami has just announced he is going to use his new super move, Dark Fallen Angel. But just after he announces this, Shihai hops into his shadows and sneakily moves away from Tokoyami, revealing that saying "you and I share a destiny" was actually a ploy to make everyone think he would focus his attacks on Tokoyami, when in reality, he was going off to sneak attack another one of Team Momo's members. It's actually a pretty ingenious plan. Shihai, now prowling the rest of Team Momo, grabs onto Aoyama and quickly takes the hero away, giving us this absolutely beautiful scream. God, I love this scream so much. But just as Shihai begins to gloat, exclaiming that there is no way anyone on Team Momo can catch him, Tokoyami and Dark Shadow rocket through the skies using Dark Fallen Angel, which is a super move that allows Tokoyami and Dark Shadow to fly. Deku, having a fit of excitement, which we haven't seen in quite a long time, explains how this move works. Basically, Dark Shadow can float, so he just picks up Tokoyami, boom, flight. If only there was somewhere one could learn more about the quirk Dark Shadow and all of its abilities, weaknesses, and potential. But anyway, while rocketing towards Shihai at insane speeds, Tokoyami grabs onto Aoyama, taking him back from the enemy. Now flying through the sky, the twinkling star himself shoots a buffet of lasers in every direction, causing the darkness in the area to shift around, making it impossible for Shihai to remain hidden. Now with Shihai out of the shadows, literally, and Momo and Invisigirl face to face with the hero, it finally seems like Team Momo has got the upper hand. But just as all looks well and good, something very strange begins to happen, as mushrooms begin to appear both on Invisigirl and Momo. And this episode comes to its fateful end when Shihai tells Momo that she has already lost in this competition against Kendo, as the camera shoots back to Team Kendo's secret weapon and the cause of these strange mushrooms, Kinoko Komori. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. Seeing the edgelord that is Tokoyami finally take center stage and get some well-deserved screen time was great. I love the two rivalries going on between Shihai and Tokoyami and Momo and Kendo. It's nice to see actual interaction between these two classes. And by having these relationships, it helps us feel more attached to the often forgotten Class 1B. But let me know what you thought of this episode. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more My Hero content, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra!